Live from the 607 is the ODPH Entertainment Edition, where we're talking movies, comics, TV, and more. Why don't you join in the conversation? Hashtag ODPH, because here we go. And welcome back to another edition of the ODPH Entertainment Edition. I am your host, Ken M., and sitting across from me at the brand new studio is the intern himself, Padawan J.
Hello, hello, hello.
And folks, we have a couple guests in studio because we are taping the show prior to going to see Marvel's big new blockbuster film, Black Panther. But joining us this week is no gimmicks needed, because that's what he says. It's Adam Deming.
Hey guys, how's it going?
And sitting across from him is his lovely wife, who is taking care of some business, so if she is not on the show as much, pay no mind, but if you hear a voice chime in, is the artist formerly known as Rose.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us this week, guys. We have a lot to discuss. Hashtag ODPH if you're doing the social media. We have got a lot of trailers to break down because it was movie season since the last episode, dare I say.
My goodness, one good trailer after another.
Yeah.
So exciting.
Yeah,
Can't
like a domino effect. It just one.
It's like they're trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
Which is glorious.
It is glorious because usually this time of year is kind of a quiet time for movies. Nothing really, dare I say, blockbuster-ish.
Maybe some horror films here and there, but that's about it.
Rom-coms.
Yeah, it's, typically for the season. I mean, albeit last year, or 2 years ago rather, should I say, was Deadpool.
That was my Valentine.
Coming out in February, which was perfect timing. And lo and behold, it is now the month of February. And we have a trailer for Deadpool 2.
Oh, boy.
Is it great timing? I think so. I'm going to ask the panel. We've all seen the trailer. What was your initial takes on the trailer, starting with Adam?
Well, I mean, it was hilarious as we thought it was going to be. I mean, the teaser that they had with him being Bob Ross was phenomenal.
It was pretty brilliant.
This one was no different in the fact that it was full of breaking the fourth wall and self-references and stuff like that. Some familiar faces are confirmed to return. It looks like it's going to be every bit as good as the first one.
Absolutely. Pat?
I loved it. Great trailer. I love the shot across the bow at DC/Warner Brothers.
They were not pulling any punches with taking some digs at everything and anything. Albeit the mustache comment was a nod to the whole Justice League editing issue that Henry Cavill had to do after they were doing reshoots.
Yeah, well, they had finished filming the movie, and Henry Cavill went off to film his next film. I don't even remember what it was, but it required him to have a mustache. And they were like, oh, hey, we need to do reshoots. And I think it was Paramount Pictures was the studio the movie was for. And Warner Brothers went to Paramount Pictures and goes, hey, we need Henry to do some reshoots for Justice League. Can we shave the mustache? And no.
At that point, you can't.
For anyone who knows the Star Wars stuff, Mark Hamill has his contractually obligated beard. This was Henry Cavill's contractually obligated mustache.
It is a real thing when you're doing movies, folks.
So ridiculous. I mean, it grows back, guys. Like, for real.
It really does.
But when there's timing issues, especially when you have to do reshoots and you're doing other films, it becomes time-consuming. And that's the easiest way to say it.
Well, at least they didn't do what they did with Cesar Romero on the old Batman show. And he refused on his own to shave his mustache, so they just put the white paint as the Joker over his mustache, and it was very apparent and very obvious. And God,
I didn't realize that until I saw somebody point it out online the other day when I used to watch that show when it was on reruns.
You never questioned why his lip looked like it did, because it always looked so puffy.
It did. It was just like one of those weird things that you're like, okay, well, maybe it's the makeup going on, because obviously at that time they're kind of testing out new stuff.
That was part of it. It was the makeup over the mustache.
Yeah, which is brilliant looking back at it now.
But getting back to the trailer, I think the thing I loved the most was, and please correct us if I'm wrong on social media, tweet at the Twitter account, post on Facebook. They didn't make any merchandise, like in terms of action figures for the first one. So I love to think that either Fox or Ryan Reynolds went to Hasbro and went, hey, we need you to make a Deadpool figure and a Cable figure.
And that's a tough sell, too, because kids this isn't a movie that's targeted at kids. It's going to be looking like another hard R like the first one was.
It should be.
It's probably going to be.
You argue, the classic argument for action figures is that you market them to kids. Now, there are plenty of adults who collect action figures as well. I know a few of them.
Oh yeah, no, it's a very big market for him.
Big market for them. I mean, heck, Todd McFarlane alone, his stuff, that kind of cornered the adult market for a long time.
Oh, easily.
Because it was so well done. But, this, Hasbro is known for being a family-friendly company.
Oh, yeah.
They do have ties with Marvel, but it would surprise me if they even said yes to a line of them.
See, the thing of it is I know there are action figures of various Marvel heroes. I think it's like something called the Legends line or something like that, where like you can get Captain America, you can get Deadpool, you can get, your various famous Marvel superheroes. So for them to just go find a Deadpool one, dress it up in the, Woody costume from Toy Story, okay, easy, done. That Cable figure looked like Josh Brolin.
It looked exactly like him.
So they went to Hasbro and go, hey, we need a Cable action figure, which means Hasbro had to agree to it, design it, make the mold, make it, paint it, the whole nine, just for the trailer.
Yeah, and it was brilliant how they kind of segued it in with Toy Story, albeit did not see that coming.
No.
But it's very NSFW.
Definitely Red Band trailer.
Yeah, you don't exactly want to watch that in front of the kids.
No.
But going back to the trailer, and I'll ask Rose here, what was your thoughts on the trailer?
I liked it because it was kind of one of those trailers that's a little different than the other ones, and it kind of speaks to the character as being more childlike.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think you have to kind of take with Deadpool, it is a completely comedic character. I mean, set in the the gritty X universe. I mean, eventually it's going to be the MCU, but to be a character that's just completely breaking the fourth wall at every chance he gets, and just really kind of running with it, and no shame to it.
Nope.
And that's why Ryan Reynolds was always the perfect.
It's perfect
guy
casting.
for him. Because what is Deadpool but just a very violent, psychotic Van Wilder?
Yeah,
that's all it is. That's all it is.
Or him in Blade 3. I mean, that was exactly how he acted.
Oh, yeah, I think that was a tip-off. That's a great point. Because, Blade 3, when he was Hannibal King, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he was that, I mean, he kind of didn't play like how he is in the comics, which was fine, but you can definitely see like, this has potential for another character down the road.
Do you think maybe that was his audition?
Possibly. And if it is, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Especially since it was like 10 years until he actually got the part from that.
Well, I heard it was like 10 years of him trying to get the part anyway, so that kind of makes sense.
Well, and they had done test footage, which was because I remember the night the test footage got leaked before they even confirmed they were doing a Deadpool movie. The test footage they had originally filmed was the scene where they're driving the SUV down the highway in New York and it gets flipped over and he's got the song playing and he jumps into the car. And it's that whole scene towards the beginning, right at the beginning of the movie. And I remember that leaking and going, this is brilliant. I didn't know he wanted to do this, but I need to see this in my life.
Yeah, because I thought it came off, he was more a genuine Deadpool than he was a Green Lantern.
Yes.
And it's nothing against, how he played Green Lantern, but it's just not his character.
Yeah, I mean, he would have been a fine Green Lantern if the Green Lantern that he was playing was Kyle Rayner.
Yes.
He was not. I love Ryan Reynolds. I think he's a great person. I think he's a decent actor. He's a great comedic actor, but he's not Hal Jordan.
No, he's not. And I'm hoping that with DC doing whatever they're doing for the next Justice League movie, they get the casting right. Either they're going to go Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart.
Yeah, we talked about that two times ago when I was on
the Justice League episode.
It should be the Jon Stewart.
It should be. But getting back to the trailer, there's 2 points that I noticed, and I'll bring it up to the panel. One was, in the beginning of the trailer, Cable was walking around with a teddy bear. Now, I don't know how many of you guys saw that.
I caught it, but I wasn't exactly sure what that was a reference to necessarily.
Now, the way I'm taking it, and note, this is strictly my opinion. Take it for what it is, hashtag ODPH. I am guessing that they are going to try doing the Hope Summers story.
That would be amazing.
That is my guess. Because on the original trailer or teaser, when he was in the phone booth, way back when, did anybody happen to notice a graffiti that said Hope?
Yes.
It was very subtle. You have to look for it.
Yeah, I did notice that. It's one of those things that, like, I was looking around and just kind of, because with Deadpool and a lot of movies nowadays, they like to hide Easter eggs in the back of things. So, and I know I caught that.
And with the Hope Summers saga, I'm a little hazy on it because it's either going to reference Hope, who, if you have not read the House of M and the Messiah Complex storyline, and even, I guess, Avengers vs. X-Men, too, she plays an integral part to those storylines. Well, not so much House of M, but she
is directly, I mean, she's created from the fallout of House of M.
Correct. And Cable kind of takes her under his wing, so to speak, and is kind of protecting her from Bishop, who it's, to sum it up very quickly, it's a very time travel confusing story, but it's basically Bishop thinks that she is the reason for no more mutants, and Cable thinks that she is the last hope for mutants. So Cable will be going and protecting her at all costs. The other thing, which I think Rose was elaborating to, is with the teddy bear complex, Cable's backstory, if you're not familiar, is confusing.
Complicated.
Yeah, to the nth degree. A lot of time travel, a lot of wacky family members coming out of the woodwork, so to speak.
Clones.
If you like clones, it's up your alley. I personally recommend reading Executioner's Song. It's a 90s crossover. If you have the time, that will explain a lot. But I think it's going to have some issues, and I don't know if they're exactly going to tie it into the X universe with the reboot they're currently doing. But it might have some symbolism in that. But I'm thinking they're going to go Hope.
I think that maybe there's room for that kind of thing. Anytime you're dealing with time travel, you're dealing with reboots. I mean, they did it with Days of Future Past.
Yep.
They did it to bridge the gap between the old continuity and the new continuity that they were bringing in. Thankfully, erasing X3 from canon because that was just a
awful
travesty.
Yeah, which I'm very excited for the Dark Phoenix movie coming out later this year.
Yeah, we're hoping they do it right this time.
I think so. Sophie Turner as Jean Grey has been lights out thus far, and I don't see it failing anymore. But going back to that, so if they do a Messiah complex, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to come across because obviously there's more characters that have not been introduced yet. And tying Deadpool into it kind of seems weird to me because it's not really a comedic storyline in any means.
No, it's not, but there's room to make it that. Like, I mean, look at the trailer itself. All of Cable's lines are so, like,
Serious.
cliche and serious and everything, and Deadpool is just one-lining the whole thing and just tearing basically his whole character, his whole demeanor apart. And I think that with this, there's anything serious that he does, Deadpool can just spin it and make it comedic. So I think maybe this was a preview of what may be, trying to make light of a very, very serious situation, such as possibly Messiah Complex.
Yeah, and if it does, I mean, it could definitely pan out because, I mean, you see in the trailer Cable's fighting a army of soldiers of some group. The initials are DMC. I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to mean, but I think it's going to tie into that.
Something tells me the M stands for mutant.
Yes, as Department of Mutant something. And we're going to see that. The other thing I took away from the trailer, and I don't know if anybody else caught this, but there's a shot of Deadpool, it looks like on a plane of some sort. Domino is next to him. That has already been confirmed casting.
Yep.
But there's a group of individuals on the plane with him.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, are they going to try introducing them as X-Force, or what I think they're going to do is call them the Six-Pack?
With Domino in play, it could really be either. She has ties to both. I think it would make more sense to do X-Force considering that we're dealing with Cable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, don't they want to introduce like an X-Force movie down the road? Or that was the plan before the whole Disney thing.
It was the plan before the whole Disney deal went through or is going through. But what I took away from it is Terry Crews is in it.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And I think he's playing GW Bridge.
He can play whatever he wants. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, he can. But I'm just trying to guess at the characters involving Cable. I think he's playing GW Bridge. That would make the most sense. I heard there was some talk of he was going to play another mutant from one of the later runs of X-Force. Because if you don't follow the comics, there's been various incarnations of X-Force throughout the years.
Yeah, I think the first one was actually just basically bringing back the original five together and just having them, oh, hey, guys, we're X-Force now.
I think you're thinking X-Factor.
Oh, that's X-Factor.
You're thinking X-Factor.
See, there's so many X teams. I can't even keep them all straight.
Well, the gist of the X-Force origin was it was the group that Cable, when he was originated in the comics by Rob Liefeld and company, he took over the mutant class that was at Xavier's school, and Xavier was not there. I forget where he was during this timeline. He could have been out in space. It's kind of confusing. X-Force was more proactive, and I guess I could say they were kind of more on the other side of the fence. Like they were more, I don't want to say Black Panthers. I think that's too strong of a thing. But I think he was making them more into a military style unit more so than Xavier's team of just superheroes at that time.
Right.
And then obviously you could see when they made the transition to X-Force from being Xavier's students, that's when they really kind of took off under Cable's wing. You can kind of see where his overtones took over the team.
Right.
So I don't know if they're going to be doing that for the comic because I was trying to figure out who else was on the team. The one, if you really stare at the background of it, looks like he has headgear on and swords. And I'm thinking it's Shatterstar.
Shatterstar, yeah.
Without question. I think he is locked in the movie. I haven't heard any casting of who he might be. There's a couple other characters, though. One is wearing, you can only make out, it's like white pants. And I'm thinking Phantom X.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of his deal, is the white pants and then the jacket and the hood and then all white.
Yeah, but you don't really see that much. You just see like the white pants. So it could be anybody.
Well, I mean, that may be one of those, what am I going to wear? Would you prefer yellow spandex kind of things? Maybe they don't think the whole thing being white is filmable.
Yeah.
So maybe they just do a nod to it by having him wear white pants.
Yeah, I mean, that would make sense. The other one, I think, is Garrison Kane. If you know anything about the six-pack storyline from X-Force, I think that makes the most logical sense. I have heard rumors, though, people think he's Chamber from Generation X, and I don't think that at all.
It'd be an interesting choice. It's not a very well-known character.
No, but
that also means that it's more likely to wind up in a side X project.
In theory. I mean, personally, I thought he would be a great addition to the New Mutants movie that's going to be coming out hopefully next year. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, well, I really hope it does because I was looking forward to the different take they were taking the franchise with. But.
And I've heard that they're just kind of make it even scarier and darker, which I think is amazing if they stick to the vision. I'm all sold on that. But as for the Deadpool 2 trailer, though, I think it was a knockout of the park. I think it gave us enough that we kind of have an idea what's going on. Josh Brolin looked the part of Cable. I'm sold on it.
Yeah.
I think if there's any questions, I think. Rose, how did you put it, the easiest comparison?
Yeah, kind of like, I don't want to exactly say childlike. I feel like that's a little too harsh because he's not a child. But it kind of makes it a little more lighthearted because a lot of the movies from the Marvel Universe are getting darker. So it's kind of nice to have somebody that's more of a comedic relief without it being forced. So it's like natural for him to, find such serious things funny.
Yeah, and it balances off, though, with how Cable came across as Mr. Serious, and then Deadpool's just cracking one-liners at him. It was a nice thing. And Brolin, like you were saying too, I think you said it off air, kind of looked like John Cena.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, like an old man John Cena.
Just an old man John Cena, which nothing wrong with that. But he definitely looked the part, and I think he really sold it, and I really think it's going to be a nice balance.
I just love the fact that we're going to get now technically once they fold that into the MCU. We're going to have two Josh Brolin characters just kind of running around doing their own separate things. I think it's funny.
It's going to be something to take. Let us know your thoughts on Deadpool 2. Hit us up on the hashtag ODPHEE for the Entertainment Edition. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, this is Brian Wolf from Fair City Fire. You are listening to ODPH, the greatest podcast in Binghamton.
Woo! Coming back for the second segment on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition, and we're talking movie trailers, and one that came out that I guess would be the most controversial, if I can say that, of the ones we're going to talk about on the show was the Venom trailer. And I mean this because a lot of people were very angry that there was no costume or no full mask of Venom. I mean, there was a silhouette at the end, but there was no real way to tell that this was a Venom movie other than the title. Thoughts to the panel?
I understand the frustration of not seeing the suit. You know, it's one of those things that everyone is looking forward to seeing this movie. Everyone is looking forward to seeing their take with the movie. Given the take with Spider-Man 3, you know our feelings about it. Exactly.
Yeah, that was not a good movie.
No. It's the bar is set very low for this movie. You know, so everyone is very much looking forward to seeing this movie do well and succeed. I'm okay with them not showing it because it's the teaser trailer. To me, the Venom suit is your main course. It's the thing you want most. You don't want to start out your 5-course meal with the main course.
Absolutely. I think that it had enough that it got the attention, and it looked different than Spider-Man, which it needed to, because if you know the comics, obviously, you know Venom is a very long-standing villain / anti-hero in the Spider-Man universe. It didn't look as, bright and sunny as Spider-Man should, and it definitely looked its part as being the dark kind of other side of the coin from Spider-Man. Now, I know Adam is a huge Spider-Man nut. He wants to talk on it. So what's your thoughts?
I actually kind of dig where they're going with it. It looks, at least if the trailer is any indication, it looks like they're going for a more almost introspective PTSD kind of thing with how Eddie Brock deals with his feelings regarding being taken over by this presumably alien, but we don't know exactly what the symbiote is going to be in this, how they're going to adapt that. Like you said, we didn't see the suit.
No.
But we did kind of see the suit because there was that container with those scientists standing around it. And it was definitely the amorphous kind of ever-shifting black blob that is going to be the Venom suit. You see that in the trailer. What I may be looking too far into this. Everybody's thinking Carnage. Has that been verified as the villain?
No, that is not.
Because
it's been. I know because I follow some people who discuss in movie rumors and speculation. I know it's been discussed and speculated, but nothing's been confirmed.
Because I'm not sure it's going to be Carnage anymore after seeing this, because of some imagery that I may be looking too much into. But the very beginning shot is that shot of the water, where it looks kind of like the way it's constructed, it looks like kind of an hourglass, and it's white in the center, and then the outside are black, which is the inverse of how Venom's face looks. I'm wondering if maybe the villain is the antagonist is anti-Venom.
I don't think it is. The one thing I've heard rumored about this movie is it's going to be taking heavily from the Lethal Protectors storyline,
hence San Francisco,
right, and Planet of the Symbiotes. Now, I think they're going to be doing this, and this is strictly my opinion, is whatever research facility that Eddie Brock, who is played by Tom Hardy, is in during the majority of this trailer, is kind of tapping into different symbiotes. And I think Venom is the one that will stand out, being the strongest one of them, but I think that there's going to be some more ties to it. Because I know that they obviously are not going to go full out the gate with Carnage. I know there'll probably be a teaser at some point.
It'll be alluded to. But
I think that with Venom, they're going to just establish him as the anti-hero. And I don't know if there's going to be a Spider-Man tie-in off the gate.
Let me throw this at you, and correct me if I understood you wrong. You said that trying on various suits, meaning Venom suits or symbiote suits.
Yeah, because I think whatever they found, and because there was a spaceship, it looked like there was a spaceship crash or something like that. In
some kind of test site or something.
Yeah, I think that you're going to find out that there's more than one symbiote that came down with it.
Okay, so what about this for your possible Carnage Easter egg that people can pick up on? He's going through the various suits. Let's just say, for simplicity's sake, there's 9 of them. He goes through 1 through 8. 6 works really well, but he's like, oh well, what about the last one? And they go, oh, nobody's ready for that one. It's killed every person that's tried it on. Or they allude to it in some way that without saying it or showing it, but like they throw out a little bit of an Easter egg or something that the readers and fans and the people who know Carnage and know Venom and know the history can pick up on.
I'm thinking it's going to be more along the lines of something like, if we are dealing with different symbiotes, then they're all going to get out and they're all going to attach themselves to random civilians or whatever, and Venom is going to have to go and almost. It looks almost like they're going kind of halfway with the Flash Thompson thing, where he puts it on for a certain amount of time to do government work. But But what I think is going to happen, he's going to have to take out all those ones, and then, unbeknownst to them, one of them escapes, or the symbiote, like in the comics, reproduces unbeknownst to anybody, and that's the one that becomes Carnage, and that's like the stinger for the next film.
I agree with Adam. I think that that's what's going to happen. I don't exactly know where they're going to be getting these test subjects from for, if we're going with that theory. I'm not really sure how they're going to kind of tie that in with the Spider-Man mythos, if they are going to do it at all, or they're just going to say it's just some, a random, secret project, or, something along that line. It's like a secret agent type deal.
I'll say the stuff I've read and heard online is that Spider-Man isn't going to be tied into this at all.
I've heard mixed. I heard that you could see a Tom Holland cameo, possibly. It's not confirmed.
You have to put him in San Francisco for some reason.
Right.
Well, I could see it that Eddie Brock's walking by a TV window and sees Spider-Man swinging, doing something, something like that. Which
because this movie is strictly Sony. It's not MCU tied in per se. Like it doesn't really tie in or connect, at least as far as we know or understand, to the overall MCU.
Mm-hmm.
They could very easily just throw in some stock footage from Civil War.
Yeah, absolutely.
You could throw in, news coverage of the fight at the airport in Berlin.
Yeah, something along those lines. I mean, all they would have to do is get Disney say so, and yeah, they'd charge some money, but they'd probably just like the visibility.
I was going to say, it'd be a fee, but for all of maybe 2 seconds. I can see Disney going, yeah, whatever.
Well, I think it would make sense. I mean, obviously, I think they should establish Venom as his own character first. I don't think you really need to tie him into the MCU.
And I think that's what they're doing with this movie. Although I do have a couple of minor issues, I guess you could say. To my knowledge, and the incarnations and origin stories I know of Venom, and please correct me if I'm wrong, is with regards to Eddie Brock, that he was a childhood friend of Peter Parker in some way.
Ultimates universe?
Okay, that's the Ultimate Universe. What is it for 616?
The 616 is he was a rival photographer that just had some deep-rooted jealousy.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he reported a wrong story.
Yeah, he fabricated sources or something like that.
He didn't get all the facts or something like that, and he was exposed by Spider-Man, so he hated Spider-Man.
Okay, because
no, it was Parker.
It was Parker. He hated Parker, and then he happened to wind up in the same place where the symbiote was, who was just rejected by Peter Parker, who knew about the power of what was happening with it and just wanted nothing to do with it. So as he freed himself, Brock happened to just be, I believe it was at a cathedral.
Yeah, he was going to kill himself.
Yeah, it was really like dark subject matter at the time.
Really
I know dark. Growing up, Ultimate Universe was kind of the thing I read most because that's what was coming out and that was what was big at the time. So that's kind of what sticks out in my mind. And I remember watching the trailer and Ultimate Universe was sticking out in my head. I'm like, well, if they're supposed to be childhood friends, how is this going to work when Tom Hardy's 40 and Tom Holland's 21?
To be honest, though, he does look good for 40.
Yeah, absolutely.
He does, absolutely.
I was going to say, Rose, what do you think of Tom Hardy as Venom? Good casting?
Well, from the small stuff that you've seen, I think it looks pretty convincing.
Yeah. No, I agree, too. I mean, because with Venom, it's kind of, you can go either way about what character he's going to play. I don't think he's going to play Flash Thompson, even though that would be a heck of a ruse if they decided to, say that was like an alias or something.
Or even, have it be Eddie Brock with the Flash Thompson origin.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways they can go with it. I'm very excited to see it. And let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPH. We're going to take a quick break. We got to talk a little Han Solo movie action when we come back.
Hi, this is Mike C. from I Am Horror. You're listening to the ODPH, the most killer podcast on the planet.
Coming back for another segment on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition. And if we're talking Star Wars, there's only one man in the room that knows all about it. Padawan J, what's your thoughts on the Han Solo trailer?
It looks great. If you saw my post on the website, my blog post on the website, kind of know how I feel about it. I love it. It looks amazing. My God, Donald Glover.
Donald Glover is Lando Calrissian. You can't go wrong with.
They nailed Lando.
He even has the mustache.
Yeah.
He's got the smirk. Oh, my God, the smirk.
It can't be a better casting in all the galaxy.
Like, I know there was a post on Reddit I saw, I want to say it was either the day of or the day after the trailer got posted, where somebody took that shot in the trailer of Donald Glover smirking as Lando And then they took a screenshot from, I believe it's Return of the Jedi, where Billy D. Williams does the exact same smirk, and it is spot on. It's terrifying in all the best ways.
Yeah, I think that they nailed that casting. And even with this movie, it seemed, and I know we were talking about it off air, it seemed like there was a lot more famous names rather than unknown actors, which is kind of a little different for the Star Wars approach.
It is. I haven't been following it too closely. I was really surprised to see Emilia Clarke in there. You know, her star is on the rise. I mean, she's going to need something to do after Game of Thrones ends. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No, it's very interesting casting, and I like the casting. Emilia Clarke, to me, I think is probably going to be the most interesting character to come out of this story, because we know what's going to happen with Lando. We know what's going to happen with Han and Chewie.
We don't even know who she is.
Jury's kind of still out.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if she's just going to kind of go off and do her own thing, or if she's going to.
And I love it. It makes me remember how I felt after the most recent entry, where at the end of it, you don't know where this franchise is going.
Yep.
Now, this is a prequel, and there's an element of you don't know where it's going to it. Like, I mean, there's a lot of lore and stuff. It's like, oh, yeah, I mean, we know he hooks up with Lando. We know he hooks up with Chewie, and they have adventures together. Who's she? She's never mentioned. Is there a reason that she's never mentioned?
See, it's a new character because in the old canon, her character's name is Kira.
Mm-hmm.
Q''IRA. There is no character named Kira that I can think of in the old expanded universe, the old canon. I think there's a history there, because there's one point in the trailer where I think she says, I'm the only one who knows what you truly are. Which given that's probably maybe halfway, 3/4 of the way through the movie, I don't think she's going to know quite who he exactly is after that amount of time. So I think there's a bit of history there. They've met before. They've become acquainted before.
Yeah, that's probably understating it. Most likely knowing Han Solo's character. But yeah.
I also think the other interesting thing we're going to get out of this trailer is, for years in the old books, they always used to hint at and refer to Han winning the Falcon from Lando in a game of cards. But they never explored it. They never went into it. All you knew was that at some point along the way, Han won the Falcon from Lando in a game of cards. There's that shot in the trailer where Lando is playing cards. You only see Lando. I think we might finally be seeing the fated card game where he wins the Falcon.
That's kind of... How confident must Lando have been in that hands that he had?
Well, the game they play... I'm blanking on, I can't remember the exact name of the card game, but essentially the way the card game works is that you need to get to it's kind of like the game Blackjack, where you need to get to a certain number to win, and if you go over, you bust. And Lando goes to try and win, and Han gets this like 1 in a million chance, hand where he wins it and Lando busts. That's kind of what they've always referred to or hinted at in the old books, but to finally see that, I think is going to be really cool. And then the other thing, at the end of the trailer, you see, I think we might finally be seeing the famous Kessel Run.
Oh,
that's kind of the online speculation is you got, because they say, you see Solo, a Star Wars story, May 15th or whatever it is. And then there's the shot with Han where he goes, oh, we're fine. And then they're all freaking out and he's flying through like a storm in the middle of space or whatever. Online speculation is that is the famous Kessel Run.
It's kind of cool if they're going to tie it into that much backlore story. I mean, obviously with prequels, you don't know what you're going to get. Obviously, in my opinion, they have not had the best case with prequels, albeit Phantom Menace, which I have a lot of,
Well, hey, the Falcon is in the prequels.
It is, no. And I think from what I've seen so far, and my point I'm trying to say with, it's looking like they've learned from their mistakes and they're really going to make a point with this one.
Yeah,
I mean, so.
They did the same thing with Rogue One. They really, really went overboard to make it not like the previous prequels.
No, and they filled a lot of plot holes. It's why is there a giant hole in the space station? Why is Luke Red 5? Why does this happen? Why does that happen? You get a lot of answers with Rogue One. The other interesting to have come out this week, because I know Entertainment Weekly has been doing some features online with the upcoming movie. Interesting thing came out. George Lucas directed a scene in this movie. Now, it's not known what scene it... Odds are we might never know what scene it is, and if we do, it won't be till after the movie. I just thought it was very interesting how, George Lucas came back to the fold for even just a scene, and from what else I understand, he and one of the other writers were working on the premise of this film even before he sold to Disney.
Do you think it's the card scene?
You know what? That might be because I think the example I can use is J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling, when she was writing the Harry Potter series, she had all of her characters' backstories and histories mapped out. I think George Lucas was probably very much in the same way with particularly his characters. He knew the characters. He knew what they did. He knew this. He knew that. I can see it possibly being the card game.
And that'd be an interesting take, too. I mean, especially I know there was a little directorial issues with this movie.
Yeah.
You want to break that down for us?
Yeah, so originally the two gentlemen who directed the Lego movie were supposed to direct this film, but then I want to say it was 3 weeks before. No, it was like 2 weeks before the film was supposed to finish filming. They got the old boot because they thought, and by they I mean Kathleen Kennedy and the folks in charge of Lucasfilm, thought that by bringing them in, they were going to bring a Star Wars film, but throw in a little bit of comedy because Lego movie filled with a lot of comedy. Essentially, they were making from what I understand, they were making a comedy movie with Star Wars thrown in it, and they weren't taking it in the direction they were going. So here they are, very far into the filming process, almost done with principal photography, and they boot him out. Ron Howard steps in, and because there was a lot of speculation once they got the boot, because this wasn't the first director to get the boot. I know Josh Trank was supposed to direct a film, but he backed out. And it's been kind of up and down. Colin Trevorrow, however you say his last name, who did Jurassic World, was supposed to do episode 9, I believe. He backed out, and J.J. Abrams took over that. So there's a little bit of shakeup. But and I know there was a lot of skepticism with this because it's, the film comes out very shortly, and we're only just getting the first trailer. Although the thing I would like to point to people is it's with the new Disney films, that's kind of been the MO of their marketing, is that while the current film is running in theaters, they really don't like to promote the other one. They kind of let it give its run. And I know in our local area, the Last Jedi is now going into your, Cinema Saver, and it's going to kind of a second run theaters. So now's kind of the time you're going to start seeing a lot of promotion.
And that makes sense to do because I think they want to obviously get as much as they can out of one film before, overshadowing it with another. And obviously, with how the schedule is booked for Disney and Marvel coming up in May, you have Avengers Infinity War coming out. Then you have Deadpool 2 weeks after, and then Han Solo after that.
I was going to say, yeah, May was already a hectic month before Deadpool.
Yeah.
It was, we've got Avengers Infinity War, and we've got Han Solo. We got a Star Wars and a Marvel movie in the same month. Oh, why don't we just throw Deadpool in the middle of it? Why not?
Well, it's a lot of questions for that. The scheduling, I think, is kind of interesting. Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering why Disney would schedule two big tentpole films in the same month. Like, isn't that just kind of cutting into each other?
I kind of think my own opinion about it is I think that with Fox, this is going to be one of the last MCU characters that they're going to have a part of before the deal goes through, if it's still going through, which at last I knew it still was.
As far as I know, it's still on track to go through. Nothing has been, because it's got to get governmental approval, because of a sale of that size and that proportion in the billions of dollars has to get, go through the proper channels to get approved. They are discussing it, and I know Kevin Feige, head of Marvel Studios, has commented on it, but he's like, listen, you guys know as much as I do.
So I think with that being said, I think that Fox is kind of doing its final send-off and kind of getting as much, we did this movie, much of a chance of, giving its last hurrah to the fans that have supported the X franchise through them. So obviously coming out in May, I think it's a prime time in the summer. And plus, when was it originally scheduled? July?
Something like that, if not the end of the year.
Then I think that they just really want to kind of line up in there that May was going to be such a big month for movies that if they could sneak in there and kind of, make a real statement on the way out the door, makes perfect sense.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Looking at that. Let us know what you think on the Han Solo movie. Hashtag ODPH. We're going to take another quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey, I'm Mike Pappy from Rye Bread, and you're listening to the ODPH.
coming back for another segment on this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition. And we talked a lot about movies, but there was one big TV moment that happened this week.
Oh, boy.
The big guns of the DC CW network came back in full throttle. Legends of Tomorrow finally came back off hiatus.
Yes.
Best show they've got in that universe.
Absolutely. Well, they have a good run for the money with Black Lightning.
Although not same universe.
But I know you haven't got a chance to watch it yet.
Universe, and I haven't seen it yet.
Yes, it's not the same universe, but if you're talking the Arrowverse or however you want to find it, we call it the DC TV universe. Legends is killing it.
Yes.
Legends is so good. It's American Doctor Who, in my opinion. It's the easiest way to describe it.
They even have Rory.
Yes. Which I know we're sitting in a room with Whovians right now.
This is very true.
So it is absolutely incredible they came back. And albeit now the panel has caught up on the season premiere, the mid-season comeback. So everybody's up to date about what has happened. Obviously, we lost a couple characters, but we have gained a couple characters.
Yes.
We have gained one John Constantine, Hellblazer, if you follow the comics, Justice League Dark himself. And we also have Captain Cold, albeit from a different universe, both of which absolutely were killing the scenes they were in. And they're kind of enhancing the storyline of Mollis.
Yeah. He was a big malevolent force, but they didn't really define him up until this episode, where it turns out he's a demon or something akin to it.
Yeah.
Time hopping, whatever thing, which is definitely different for the Arrowverse, for sure.
Yeah, they really haven't kind of delved into that kind of villainy.
Yeah, I mean, they've been trying to, up until this point, they've been trying to keep it, grounded. Even the stuff that they did with Damien Dark in season 4 of Arrow was still kind of localized. It wasn't, it was one guy who had some magic talisman that gave him, powers, and how do you deal with that? And then you have Constantine come in, but you don't delve into that whole world until this episode of Legends of Tomorrow.
I think it only makes sense for John Constantine to show up, given Damien Dark, as long as he's been around and what he can do. It only makes sense that a person of John Constantine's caliber and repertoire, if I may,
You may.
comes in and kind of handles things.
Rose, what do you think about Legends?
I rather enjoyed this episode. It definitely, I do wish that I watched Constantine when it was on the air, to be honest with you, with this. And I kind of like the tie-in where they're adding a little supernatural, because the incantation he used to exorcise the demon was the exact same one they use in Supernatural.
I missed it. I completely missed that. Holy.
Yep, everything. I caught it as soon as he started. I'm like, this. I mean, there are only certain Latin things that you would probably say in an exorcism, but it's the exact same line for line as in Supernatural.
Yeah.
If you really want to go back and watch this most recent run of Constantine, the CW Seed, I believe, has the entire run. You're not missing much. I know I've said in the show in the past, I love the actor. The actor nails it. He hits it out of the park. He kills it.
But there's a reason it got canceled after half a season.
Yes.
Yeah.
The first episode, I remember, I didn't know much about the character. I kind of knew some stuff about him, but I didn't know everything. I was like, I'll give it a shot. It was very promising. I'm like, okay, this could be something interesting. And the end of the episode ends with a map and ink blots or some kind of blots on the map with all the incidents that are going on. And it's all over the U.S. There's all these incidents going on. And it seems, oh, wow, there's a lot going on that he's going to have to take care of. It becomes very campy where, oh, there's this issue in New Orleans, Louisiana. Go take care of that. Oh, there's this issue, and I'm just picking random cities. There's this issue in Louisville, Kentucky. Got to go take care of that. That has nothing to do with the last episode. It was very...
all over the place.
It was scattered and all over the place without any real sense of direction.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see it, but I think I may watch it at some point simply
It's
to
worth
catch
the
up
watch
for it.
It's worth the watch for the character and to see, the acting, because he, like I said, he kills it. He nails it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the reason that he showed up on Arrow is because Stephen Amell fought for the character and him in that character to have a spot on it, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you are correct.
Yeah.
And you know what? It paid off, too, because I think the problem with Hellblazer, as it goes for his TV show, the subject matter really isn't meant for network TV.
Well, and especially it was on, I want to say it was on like Friday nights at like 8 or 9 o'clock right before Grimm on NBC.
But you know what? That could play a factor too. But as we know with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it kind of depends on where your time slot is, and you can get away with more. But I think, though, with the subject matter that usually follows John Constantine is really not meant for network. It's meant for more your HBO-type cable, where you can get with a little more mature storyline.
If you want to do it right, it really should be TVMA instead of TV14.
Yeah.
If you want to do it justice to the source material.
Right, which is no knock on what they try doing with the show, but it's just the kind of situation you're in. But the CW, and especially with Legends, which is the perfect show for him, is kind of one that is known to go a little more further with boundaries of running with storylines because you have all of time to mess with, and you can tie in different characters throughout, and it's one of the strong suits that they have. I mean, obviously, with prior to the season finale, they lost Firestorm, and that character's gone now, probably for good, but we don't know. And they now have added Constantine, who we think is going to be sticking around with the team, albeit they kind of left it open-ended.
They did. I mean, he's off, trying to, see what he can glean from his contacts, which I think he's going to be a recurring character and not part of the main cast.
Yeah, I definitely think he's going to be one that you're not going to see him every episode, but I definitely think you're going to see him, if not a couple more times, you're going to see him before the season finale. I didn't get a, Deathstroke vibe from him where, he's kind of shown up and there he goes.
Yeah. And I think the other one, too, is with Captain Cold, who it sounded like the storyline that he is going to be going away, but I just don't see that happening.
That's kind of the vibe I got because based off of he said he was going back to his Earth to marry, who was it?
The Ray.
The Ray, and he's like, not that Ray.
Yeah. But
I think he was talking about Palmer.
Yeah,
right. Yeah. No, yeah, that.
But it's one thing that he was trying to come up with, and I think though his storyline is still, got a little more legs to it, and I don't think they're just going to tie it up that easily. But the one thing is now going forward is they know who the enemy is Mollusk, who I was telling Adam off air, I think is Necron,
which would be a fantastic way to bring in the Green Lantern Corps, and with them going all throughout time and space, you could easily incorporate the Corps without having to do any of the Hal Jordans or Guy Gardners or Kyle Rayners, any of the major Lanterns. You can just have them be Lanterns from the future or the past.
Well, and it would make sense because you look at a situation like there was the one episode where I believe they went to Vietnam, was it? Mm-hmm. And they were you could have them go to a specific event in history that were it to change, the outcome of a war, the outcome of a very monumental event in history would change the whole entire path of history. I think it would make sense if it is something cataclysmic enough that the Green Lantern Corps goes, no, we got to step in and set this right because this ain't right.
Or how about this? As you were saying that, the thought popped into my mind, what if the reason that they haven't run into Green Lanterns at this point is because as history is written in their timeline, in their universe, there's no reason for Abin Sur to come and crash land on Earth, but because of the Legion screwing things up, maybe he crash lands on Earth, and that's where we get Hal Jordan as Green Lantern because of the the friendly fire or whatever of the activities of the Legends.
Well, yeah, with the Legends doing that, I mean, I could definitely see that happening. And there's been enough Easter eggs planted throughout the shows that they have addressed that there is Ferris Air, and Hal Jordan is tied very closely to that.
And they're mentioning Batman and Superman enough.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising, happily surprising.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I really hope that. I mean, if Arrow only gets one more season, I hope it features Batman really heavily.
Well, depending on where they go with it. I mean, Arrow has been kind of. It's going to be interesting where they go this season. I mean, I do like the reveal from last week's episode before they went on break of who the real mastermind villain was.
See, I mean, it was kind of underwhelming. I mean, I guess it made sense that it would be the guy that you would pick the least to be the guy. But at the same time, it's like, you're kind of small fry.
But, if you knew the comics, it paid off. Like, that was the only thing, which I know it doesn't translate sometimes on TV with that. But if knowing who the character is, it was like, okay, this made a lot more sense. But getting back with Legends, though, I think, going into the rest of the season, I think they came back very strong.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they're the benchmark that I think the other shows have to go for.
Without a doubt. It is, the show, when Captain Cold was on Flash, I liked him as a villain, but I really didn't care for him that much. first season of Legends of Tomorrow really turned him around for me. I loved the character after season 1.
Well, Wentworth Miller just sells everything. He's just so charming in that like twisted anti-hero role.
The one-liners back and forth, man.
Yeah.
Just amazing.
Doesn't matter what Earth he comes from. Captain Cold will bite you down with that one-liner.
Yeah, and I'm more curious to see how it plays out. I know we mentioned that the one addition to the Wave Rider team coming up,
Yep.
Kid Flash.
That has been announced. We haven't seen it yet.
Yes, it hasn't yet, but I'm waiting to see that interaction with Captain Cold and Kid Flash. Because it still is a Flash.
Yep.
And it's Captain Cold, and you know the history between them.
Yeah. You know, the thing is with Wally, he hasn't really run afoul of Snart all that often. So he may not be as... In fact, he may be more open to working with him than Barry would have been.
Well, I think he will, but I think the interesting tell with, because it's Earth X Snart, I think the interesting thing is going to see his interaction with him, because I don't think they went into where we saw Kid Flash on the Crisis on Earth X crossover. On Earth X, as it were.
No, he is kind of fallen by the wayside this season. I know in the beginning of Flash this season, we thought he was going to have a run as being the main hero, but it only lasted
a run.
You saw what I did there. But I think that he did not get his due just beginning of the season, because he was supposed to be, the main hero in Central City, with Barry being lost in the Speed Force, and it just didn't happen. Because it's just...
Well, there's only so much you can do. I mean, it's the same problem that arose when you had a speedster villain. It's like there's only so much you can do when you have multiple speedsters around.
And that's why I think he's going to benefit from being on Legends.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially since he can, probably by this point has control of the Speed Force enough that he can probably go back in time himself if he needs to. He can rewrite the some of the mistakes that the Legends keep making if he needs to.
Yeah, which I think will play a lot more, into the season as it's going on. But I thought it came back very strong. Let us know what you think. Hashtag ODPH. Let us know what you think about Legends tomorrow coming back. We're going to come back, close out the segment, talking about the big movie coming out this weekend. So stay tuned. Coming back to close out this week's ODPH Entertainment Edition, talking about the big movie hitting the theaters this weekend, Black Panther, Marvel Studios. How excited are we?
Very, 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 very excited.
So excited.
Yes, so excited.
So I'm going to pass it around the room, starting with Adam. What are your thoughts for the movie tonight?
It's got nothing but rave reviews. Like, every single one of them is saying that this could be the best one of the MCU so far, which is saying a lot. Because we've had a lot of good films. I think that there was a lot of pressure probably on the actors, on the cast, because it is probably I would say the most inverted cast of any kind of movie you're going to see this year in terms of who is cast. And I think that they felt that they really need to hit it out of the park, and all indications point to that they did. And I really hope that they do, for their sake, for our sake, for watching a good movie. I can't wait to see it tonight, because this is by far the most interested I've been in the Black Panther character ever in my entire life. After they introduced him, it was like, okay, yeah, this is absolutely the correct way to do this. I'm sold. I'm invested.
I agree. Honestly, once you saw him in Civil War, I wanted to watch a movie about him right after that. So I'm just very excited. I don't know much about the comic or any of that nature, but I'm very excited to see it.
This movie is going to do very well. Articles have been written that you can find online. Pre-ticket sales are tracking that it is going to be the most successful superhero movie ever. That it is going to open bigger than any superhero movie ever. From what I read last night from Variety, who, as Ken can attest, as reliable a source as they come, the movie is currently tracking to have an opening weekend gross worldwide of $180+ million.
Wow.
That would put the one sentence in the article that stood out to me. It would make back 90% of its budget in 4 days.
That's incredible.
That's insane.
It is insane. What did Avengers do when it came out?
Not even nearly that much. The current record holder is, I believe, is Deadpool with 152.
And Avengers made $1 billion by the end of its run.
Oh yeah, this is
huge.
It is tracking very well. It is going to do very well. I've got a friend who lives out in California, and of course they've got those major giant cineplexes with like 100+ seats. He had a friend who was looking to get tickets for opening night. Every showing on opening night was sold out in the giant megaplexes in California.
Wow.
That being said, I am very excited to see this movie. I don't really know much about the character outside of what I've seen on the big screen, so I'm very interested to see what they do, where they go, and I'm even more excited for whatever happens at the end with the post-credit scenes.
You know it's Marvel, so you know they're going to deliver. This one looks different than any other Marvel movie that we've seen. Just the tone, the feel, the vibe, everything has stood out. Black Panther has been around for many years in the comics, and if you really want to take a good look at how he's written in some great comic books, Christopher Priest's run and Ta-Nehisi Coates' current run, excellent reads. Definitely, highly recommended. I can't speak enough about them. You need to go search them out, and you need to go read them. Thank me later. What I'm hoping to see tonight, and I've heard so far, is not so much that Chadwick Boseman is going to knock it out of the park as Black Panther T'Challa. We saw him in Civil War do it, and I have no doubt he's going to do it again. The character that I think is going to steal the show is Michael B. Jordan.
Ooh.
And as Eric Killmonger. And I'm glad they went with him as the villain instead of Ulysses Claw, which I know Andy Serkis is in the movie. He can come later, or he doesn't even need to be the main villain. I know that's one that's more popularly associated with Black Panther, but I am digging how Killmonger is going to get his time as the main villain.
And he, even from the clips that we've seen in the trailers, he looks so motivated in this role. He looks like he just wants to devour it.
Yeah. And the one thing, and I've heard in reviews, because I've been trying to really avoid any spoilers, because I want to go in this with just a clear slate, no, nothing to even, cast an idea of what I think is going to happen. I have heard that Jordan's portrayal is Heath Ledger Joker, if not better.
Oh, wow.
And I'm saying as in a villain or as a, character that just steals the movie. I have heard this.
Wow.
And I know this is, if you know anything about superhero movies, Heath Ledger's Joker is the benchmark.
It's the standard.
Well, now, think about it this, too. But he was in that just god-awful Fantastic Four movie.
Mm-hmm.
This is redemption for him. I think he really wants to just... if that's the case, if that's the level of his performance, I think it will erase that from people's minds completely.
Yeah, I think he is just going to absolutely crush it. And everything I've seen thus far in the trailers, I've been really kind of mesmerized at his character because he just is kind of one of those standout. He's just, when he's on the screen, he's stealing it. And he's just owning the scenes. And I think he's going to just absolutely crush it. And if any of the reviews, and that's the only thing I've read, is this is the best villain in a comic book movie since Ledger's Joker.
Wow.
Which is insane, considering the fact that it's not one with a whole lot of name recognition.
No, it's not. And I think that this is something, too, that he can make his benchmark with because, let's face it, Marvel movies have not had the greatest villains in it.
No.
No,
And-
the great villains have been on Netflix for them.
Yeah. I mean, the closest one, if you want to get to the MCU, is Loki, Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it was great. Don't get me wrong. But it wasn't like, Ledger's Joker, which stole that movie from, Christian Bale's Batman, which is tough to do.
It's not that Tom Hiddleston as Loki in that character is really like a great villain. He's just so stinking charming that you just kind of fall in love with him whenever he's on screen.
So you're now
you like seeing him.
you're very anticipatory of what he's going to do next because it's Loki. You don't know what he's going to do next. I don't think Loki knows what he's going to do next. It wasn't like it was with Heath Ledger portraying Joker, where your skin is crawling, the hair is standing up on your arm, and you're sitting there thinking, "Oh my God!" Especially the pencil trick. Oh my God! If he does that, what's he going to do next?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Killmonger is going to do that, but I think he's going to be on that level of just charismatic and multi-layered as a character. Which, like I said, you don't see that in Marvel movies. It just doesn't happen.
Because they're usually one and done, and you don't really like. I mean, they're there for them to be beaten, essentially.
Yeah, to be defeated by the heroes. I mean, and that really doesn't do much. But if Jordan does what I've been hearing he's going to do, and I think he is going to do that, because I think, as you come back from a bad movie, as Fantastic Four was,
Yeah.
that I think he's going to have such a chip on his shoulder to really nail it and make this role his, that it just stands out and just resonates to the audience.
And it's not like he can't. I mean, he's proven that within this kind of genre that he can be very engaging and very likable. I mean, he was one of the best parts about Chronicle, and that was a good film altogether.
Yeah, very slept on.
Yeah. So I mean, granted, unfortunately, the writer of that film has kind of fallen out of favor with certain people for certain reasons, but. That movie was good. That was kind of, I think that was his first starring or like really big role.
One of his breakout roles, I think, at the beginning of his career there.
So it's not like it's a genre that he's unfamiliar with in delivering.
No, but I think, though, as him as the lead, I don't want to say villain because I never think that's a good word.
Antagonist?
Thank you.
Maybe?
That I think that he'll just balance off Boseman, and I think you're going to see that great rivalry show up on screen. And I want to see that. And I think that this is going to be a definite, monumental movie. At the beginning of the year, this was my pick for the movie of the year between this and New Mutants. Obviously, New Mutants isn't going to happen till
Not
next
this year. Yeah.
No, but this has been the movie I think is going to be better than Avengers: Infinity War. I'll stand by that because I think Infinity War, you know what to expect. This one, it just has a whole different feel and a vibe and just energy to it, and I'm so hooked on this.
Yeah, you get the feeling that whenever you see Wakanda, it's like the same as when you saw anything spacey from the Guardians of the Galaxy films. It's like, this is completely different. They've created this entire unique culture and aesthetic to it. I love all of the visuals that I've seen of Wakanda, even as far back as Civil War.
Yeah.
It was just, and they're just going to expand on it, and I can't wait for that.
And it really tells you something about how good the movie looks that, here we are sitting here getting ready to go see the film tonight, and it just occurred to me the post-credit scene from this movie will lead into Avengers. It didn't cross my mind about that until tonight. I've been thinking more about Black Panther and his story and what's going to happen in this movie, more so than the post-credit scene that's going to lead into Infinity War.
Yeah, and I just think this is going to be the movie that is going to just completely dominate 2018.
It's going to be the measuring stick, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's going to just completely knock it out of the park. Let us know what you think. So, for Adam Deming,
that's me. Go see Black Panther.
The artist, formerly known as Rose.
Good night.
And Padawan J.
Let's go.
I'm your host, Ken M. Go see Black Panther. We'll see you next time on the ODPH Entertainment Edition.
Thought You're running